Hey everybody, Cara Castronova with LindellTV here with Congressman Massie. It is the State of the Union address today, and we're out here anticipating President Trump's speech. So let's start off there. What do you think President Trump will say tonight? What are you expecting?
You never know what to expect. I mean, there'll be a teleprompter, but I'm sure he'll go off the teleprompter some. So, he may try to motivate the attacks in Iran that haven't happened yet. I hope they don't happen. We'll see. I'm sure he'll have something to say about tariffs. Right. He was reprimanded by the Supreme Court recently and also here in Congress. I doubt he'll talk about the debt because the debt is trillions of dollars higher than the last time he gave the State of the Union.
Well, I know that you've been outspoken, to say the least, against President Trump with war powers and everything having to do with Iran. Can you expand a little bit more on that and explain to the audience who's MAGA, for the most part, at LindellTV, and actually sometimes a lot of them really like you and President Trump, if that's possible, but it is. Why would you explain that you're against President Trump using war powers?
Well, I think a lot of what MAGA was about was not going to another war in the Middle East, not a protracted war in the Middle East, not another proxy war with Russia like we have to some degree in Ukraine that could escalate into something much worse. Iran is a country of 90 million people. Allegedly, we took out their nuclear facilities already. It costs us money and it could cost us lives. And even if you agree with the strategy of attacking Iran right now, that should be before a vote in Congress.
Right. Well, okay. As you know, and the elephant in the room is there's a big MAGA divide right now, and a lot of it has to do with Israel. There's sort of two camps right now. Do you think this will cost the midterms, or do you think that it's actually healthy that MAGA is not acting like sort of a cult and actually having disagreements within?
I don't think a strike on Iran is going to cost the midterms. I do think the split, the division within MAGA will be a problem, not because they're going to go vote Democrat, it's because they'll be apathetic and may not go vote. We still don't have full transparency on the Epstein files. They're still dragging their feet. There's still files they haven't disclosed. There's still redactions we can't see past, even when we go over to the DOJ. I think, that's one of those promises that was made during the campaign that needs to be kept if we're going to keep the energy and enthusiasm. And by the way, it's not just enough to release the files. It's called the Department of Justice, not the Department of Transparency. Their job is to bring justice. So we need to see convictions, indictments, like we're seeing in Great Britain, like we're seeing in Norway, on the victims, of the people who perpetrated these heinous crimes against the victims.
Are you one of the people in, I guess, the conservative camp that thinks that there should be more arrests in general, this administration, when it comes to people who possibly, or who did politically persecute people?
Well, we've seen two, with respect to Epstein, there need to be arrests, okay? We've seen 24 resignations, and we've seen 2 arrests and charges brought over in Europe, but we don't see that here. I do think that the president and other people set expectations on voter fraud and things like that, and they haven't seen any action there. If there's any there, the DOJ needs to show it. And Pam Bondi didn't do a great job at the hearing the other day. I concentrated my time on the Epstein files, but I didn't see other members on the Republican side talking about some of these other promises that may not have been upheld by her.
How does it feel to be the only Republican really that does speak out against President Trump besides Marjorie Taylor Greene, who left? Does it make you nervous? Did it make you nervous at first and now you're sort of used to it? Did you think a lot of people would turn on you? Were you surprised that a lot of people stood by you?
Well, I don't speak out against President Trump. I'm very careful not to criticize the man himself. I'll be here at the State of the Union. I'll be very cordial. I speak out against policies when those policies aren't what we were promised or aren't what I promised when I was campaigning. So, for instance, this goes all the way back to 2020. During the CARES Act, during COVID, when they were shutting down this country, they said for only 15 days, which turned into months. I said it was going to turn into months. And I said, if you pass this bill, you're going to cause inflation and you're going to cause shortages. And that happened. Of course, I drew the ire of the president at that time. but it was the right thing to do, and now I think a lot of people agree with me. We shouldn't have passed the CARES Act. I mean, for heaven's sakes, it funded mail-in elections in all 50 states, and I was the only Republican who said this is not a good bill.
Right.
Well, and here we are again. You know, and some of the things that where I disagree with the president, it's not even so much a matter of policy as it is making sure we have three branches of government. Look,
I knew you were going to say that. It's the precedent that it sets.
it's the precedent, and you know there have been bad precedents before. That doesn't mean we should follow them. So, for instance, Congress gave up a lot of power that was given to us in the Constitution in the 1970s when they gave these emergency powers to a president. But this president said, I'm going to use these emergency powers to create tariffs. The problem with that is Congress hasn't given up its taxing power in the course of an emergency. So I'm taking up for the fact that we have a republic, we have three branches of government, and there are 435 congressmen. Your job isn't to be a rubber stamp. I agree with the party 91% of the time, the president 91% of the time, but there's 9% of the time, even MAGA doesn't agree with the president. And it's not 4D chess. It's not like there's some secret plan that where we're really going in the right direction, but it looks like we're going in the wrong direction. And the 9% of the time, we're not going in the right direction or we're not doing something we promised. That's where I deviate from the party or the president's policies. But I've never made it personal about him.
Right, and it's like Ron Paul. A lot of people really respected that about him. Glyphosates is something that you feel strongly about. You have a bill out there right now. A lot of people have been talking about this bill. It reminds me of obviously the pharmaceutical companies that got immunity back in the 80s. If people die, they can't be sued. And now it seems like we're moving in that direction with glyphosates. What is your bill about, and why do you think that the administration is moving forward with this?
Well, I gave a speech on the floor of the House today about this. There's a full court press on all three branches of government. They're trying at the Supreme Court to get immunity from any liability, and it's actually Attorney General Pam Bondi, Solicitor General, who's speaking favorably, opining favorably in front of the courts on behalf of Bayer. They merged with Monsanto. Right. That's a German company who's making a chemical that you know, you and I wouldn't sit here and drink it out of a straw. You can't say it's completely safe, and there may be uses of it where it's okay to use. But here's the problem: there are places where they use it where it's just purely for profit. Right. They're not spraying it on weeds; they're spraying it actually on ripe wheat to make it dry quicker. They're spraying it on your food. So that they can make a little more money on a wheat crop. Now they say that only is on 3% of the wheat that's grown in this country. Well, if it's only on 3% of the wheat that's grown, then let's quit doing that and let's raise that 3% differently so that it won't be showing up in trace amounts in your bread and other food products. But whether it's safe or not, people deserve their day in court if they're harmed by it. Let's say a farmer uses it day in and day out to treat weeds, and then he contracts cancer from that. He should be able to seek remedy from the person that harmed him. And if they say it's safe and it's not safe, you should have a day in court. The lobbyists for this German company have spent over $9 million here in Washington, D.C. They've hired dozens of they have dozens of lobbyists working on this at the executive branch and the legislative branch. So in addition to trying to get immunity through the courts, they've tried it here in Congress. They tried slipping it in a bill before. We made them take it out. That's always going to be pressure because you've always got the lobbyists whispering in the ears up here. And then finally, in the executive branch, the president issued a executive order declaring glyphosate, which that's the generic name for Roundup, the weed killer, declaring it important for the defense of the country under the Defense Procurement Act. Presumably, that is to give immunity, the same thing they've been trying to do in the legislature and in the judicial system. They're doing by executive order. And so I've introduced a bill to say that we're not going to fund that executive order. Frankly, that's all you would need to stop that executive order.
Will the bill pass?
I've got about 3 co-sponsors on both sides of the aisle, but now we're talking about MAHA. We're not talking about MAGA, right? And this was one of the central promises of MAHA, that we would raise our food cleaner, you wouldn't need as many pharmaceuticals. The healthcare expenses would go down if we just started eating right. I applauded as loud as anybody else when they changed the food pyramid. They made a lot of good changes there. And with glyphosate, we shouldn't be calling it something a German company makes, a chemical, a poison for weeds, that may be used inappropriately when it's used as a desiccant on wheat. We shouldn't be calling it a part of our national defense in order to give a German company immunity.
Right. And who are the lobby groups that are going to bat for these chemicals?
Well, interestingly, one of them is named Ballard. It's one of the biggest lobbying groups. And guess who used to work for this lobbying group down in Florida? Attorney General Pam Bondi and Chief of Staff Susie Wiles used to be paid to work at this lobbying group. And now that lobbying group has access to the White House. And this is probably how they got Attorney General Pam Bondi, Solicitor General, to give such a favorable opinion to the Supreme Court in the dispute, and also how they got this executive order from the president that presumably gives immunity to the manufacture of glyphosate.
Right, and that's a scary thought, because actually my dad was killed by Monsanto. He was a Vietnam veteran, and they also made Agent Orange, so I have a serious problem with these chemical companies. So thank you for fighting them, to say the least, and a lot of people are willing to. Wrapping up, there's a status hearing on Friday. The pipe bomber. I know you've been outspoken. You think that he should be released. His family continues to put in motions for his release. What are your thoughts?
He's not. Well, first of all, he may not be the right person.
Right, the alleged, we said.
Right. He may not be the right person. In fact, I think there's a lot of holes in the government story here. I think they, after years of inaction, made a rush to arrest an autistic man. There's still a lot of holes in this story. It's hard for me to believe that this guy acted on his own if he did act. But again, there's holes in their story. The facts don't line up. And in any case, he's not a danger to people. I think they should release him. They don't, the evidence they have isn't good enough. I don't think they would get a conviction. I think they're going to try. And again, I'm saying this without having seen all the facts myself. The government may have more facts that I don't know. But I see too many coincidences in what happened in the discovery, and let me put air quotes around coincidences, and what happened in the discovery of these pipe bombs on January 6th, how the Capitol Hill police just went directly to the location. It's just too suspicious for me to believe the government narrative.
Right, not to mention the alleged pipe bomber waved at Capitol Police like they knew them. It was very strange. And that's another testament to precedence, because all the J6ers were held pre-trial. And he is a J6er. Whether people want to believe that or not, he's a J6er. So now he's being held pre-trial, and his family's having a hard time understanding that he is a J6er and that the precedent was already set with a lot of people. So it's unfortunate, because, due process is important. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. Anything else that you want to say before tonight? You have a good seat. So I didn't know that, Congressman. You don't have assigned seating. You have to fight for seats.
Every day is a fight in here. There are no assigned seats in Congress,
really?
And so it's a lot of times it's like a high school cafeteria.
I know how that is.
you sit next to your friends, but there are some mean girls in there, right? Last year I put down my name on a seat, and somebody moved it. And so I'm sitting here camped out. So I have
camped out, and you have to have somebody. It's sort of like the press. Like we understand.
Right.
We're like kindergarten.
Right.
We fight over seats. We fight over spots. They have to tell us not to push and shove each other. So I guess it's similar here.
I'll have a good enough seat tonight, and I'm looking forward to listening to the speech. And my wife will be my guest tonight. So she voted for Trump 3 times. And he's tweeted about her twice.
I saw, yeah.
So she hopes he does a good job tonight. She'll be here to watch.
Well, thank you so much for all that you do, Congressman.
Thank you very much.
It's finally here, our 2nd annual mega sale. This sale only comes around once a year, so take advantage of the best offers ever while you can. For example, save 50% on our Giza Dream bed sheets, as low as $29.98. And for the first time ever on TV, MyPillow mattresses and MyPillow mattress toppers as low as $99.98. And you save 50% on our Lux Pure 6-piece towel sets. Regular $69.98, now only $39.98. And our best-selling standard MyPillows, regular $49.98, on sale for $17.98. Wait on it, mega sale only $14.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. But wait, there's more. To make the mega sale even more special, when you order right now, your order's gonna ship absolutely free.
Talk is cheap when it comes to saving our country. We're not just any cell phone service provider. We're Patriot Mobile. It's not enough to simply talk about values. We live them. Defending life, protecting our First and Second Amendments, and celebrating our military and first responder heroes. We're boots on the ground making a difference. We're America's only Christian conservative wireless provider with nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks and 100% US-based customer service. Join Patriot Mobile today and make an impact every time you use your cell phone.
Hello everyone, Allison Steinberg here with LindellTV. We are here. It's a State of the Union Day, very exciting day here in Congress, and we're joined by Congressman Ralph Norman, who represents South Carolina's 5th Congressional District. Congressman, thanks so much for being with us today, and thank you for all that you do. You've been doing so much incredible work on exposing all of the insane spending that happens here in Congress. I mean, it's just totally out of control. We are nearly $40 trillion in debt and counting, and it doesn't seem to be getting much better, does it?
No, and it's, you know, the time to deal with it is now.
Yeah.
40 trillion. I mean, imagine trying to pay that back. That doesn't count the interest that accumulates every second of every day, of every month, of every year. And it's going to take some real change of direction for the elected representatives to make a dent in where we are. But you always have hope, and I think tonight we'll hear a lot of hope from the president, and I think it'll be a real eye-opener when he explains the basically promises made, promises kept.
He's done a lot of great work in not a whole lot of time, and I don't think he's getting enough recognition for that. I mean, there's been a lot of great benefits from the One Big Beautiful Bill that we're seeing now during tax season. Real Americans actually getting real money put back in their pockets for the first time in decades, right? I mean, Democrats love to overlook the good that's actually happening here.
Democrats are all about power at the expense of everybody else. It just is. You know, imagine what Donald Trump has done, and I would say 11 months, 12 months, but he set the pace, and he's backed it up with calling congressmen, calling the different representatives, senators. We've only got a 1-seat majority, but we do have a majority, and look what he's done. He's reversed the things that were derailing America under the Biden administration, and he's made the world safer. Look at what he's done with the #1 sponsor of terror, Iran. It would have been a real problem had they existed another month and developed the nuclear weapon. So, I give him all the kudos in the world. He's led this country in a way that he doesn't get credit for. But tonight, I think you'll see a step-by-step listing of where we are as a country and what he's done.
Certainly excited to hear the speech tonight, as I know millions of Americans are. Don't know what to expect from the Democrats, though. I think there's some mixed, opinions on whether or not they're going to even show up, if they're going to stage some sort of a walkout. Do you have any insider info on what's going to happen with that?
What I would expect is the same treatment that he got last year. They didn't stand for anything. For the little boy that had cancer, they didn't stand. They took, postcards in. Al Green did what he did. I hope that when the hockey team is recognized, that they can have the decency to support, clap, but they're now the new Marxist Socialist Party. They just are, and it's against everything this country was built on. And what a better time for President Trump to do what he's doing on the 250th anniversary.
Amen. We are certainly excited about it, and excited about truly making America great again and continuing to expose the corruption, continuing to expose the waste, fraud, and abuse, which I know you recently introduced, getting back to sort of the financial angle of the nation, the Earmark Elimination Act. I want you to talk to us about earmarks and how big of a problem they are. Like, what is the real deal with the earmarks, and how frequently is this something that we should be paying attention to?
Well, we've got a spending addiction. We don't have an income problem. We've got a spending addiction. It comes in earmarks that different congressmen want for their particular state. And I'm sorry, we're not at that point that we continue to fund museums, continue to fund things that the state ought to be paying for, the residents ought to be paying for. I realize the congressmen and senators can get reelected by bringing the bacon home, but the cow that produces the hog that's producing the bacon is on life support. And so we've got to put a stop to it. And my earmark bill was to stop it. Now, that's easier said than done. They get it done in so many different ways. And, technically, earmarks are not supposed to be allowed. They are. It's a billion-dollar industry. Look at what Elon Musk, when he showed the waste, fraud, and abuse, and we cut the $90 billion out. We could have cut 300, 400, 500 billion if we had the courage to do it, and we didn't. But it was a start, and hopefully we'll have another reconciliation package and another bite at the apple when it comes to cutting the spending.
Just to give people an idea of the earmarks, Ilhan Omar, we love to talk about Ilhan Omar here. She recently requested a $1 million earmark in the last appropriations package, I believe it was. This was funding for a Somali-led nonprofit in Minnesota. She had the audacity to do this while all of this $9 billion in fraud is being exposed in her home state.
Allison, they have no shame. They have no shame to do this and address the $9 billion, like you mentioned. Where is it? And if it's $9 billion, what's the real number? Yeah. Let's dig into it. And Tim Walz has got the audacity to want to do away with the ICE agents who are the criminals that are harming the citizens of Minnesota. But the only way you deal with them is get them out of office. You've got the American people have got to realize that they got to get their voice back. They have to get active. And these socialists, it's a proven track record. If you're a socialistic nation, you're doomed to fail. New York City's going to find this out. California's already found it out. And Virginia's getting ready to find it out. And so it's time for Americans to take back this country, and I think we'll do it.
I certainly hope so, because I don't know if we have a country if we don't take the reins back in and get this under control, because the communists are fighting hard.
They are, and your financial ruin is where it all starts. If you're broke, what can you do? You can't provide aid to other countries. You can't be the leader of the free world if you're broke. And America is close to that. We can only borrow so much money. You can't print your way out of print currency and think you're going to be able to pay it back. We can't. That's the cause of inflation. And thank God President Trump has done what he's done to keep it in check. And I think we'll have a good next at least 3 years when he's in office.
So too. Now, I know this out of control spending is actually on both sides. It's Democrats and Republicans. Republicans used to be the party of limited government, less spending, but that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. Is there ever going to be a point when Republicans get back to actual fiscal discipline here?
No. The only way you're going to do it, Allison, is the people of each state, of each city, of each county are going to have to hold the officials, elected officials, accountable. And as you say, when they campaign on limited government, lower taxes, lower regulations, you have to follow through on that. And if they don't, put them out of office. That's one thing I will do as governor, is call them out. And you're right, it crosses the party lines. It's not Democrat only, it's not Republican only. But you get by it by degrees. And when holding the office becomes a top priority rather than doing the right thing for fiscal conservatism, that's when you have a country that falls. And that's why we've got to keep it, we've got to now take action, and it starts with each one of us.
Amen. And you mentioned you're running for governor. Congratulations. That's very exciting, and we are absolutely rooting for you. Talk to us a little bit about that and what you are looking towards in your home state of South Carolina. What are going to be some of your top priorities then?
Well, South Carolina, we have the luxury of being the #1 suitcase state, meaning people are voting with their feet. They're moving to other states. South Carolina's at the top of the list. Look at where New Yorkers are going to. Look at where Californians are going to. They're fleeing the high taxes, the high crime, the increased drug addiction that the states are experiencing with their people. And it's a blessing and it's a curse for South Carolina. We've got to manage it. Uncontrolled growth is not good for the state. We've got to make sure that it's conservative. Got to make sure that the safeguards are in place to make sure that any industries come in meet our standards. And we got to protect the shining state on the hill, as Reagan referred to it, with our cities. And I think we'll do that. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
I love it. And I know South Carolina is going to be the best when you become governor. I want to move there myself. I can't wait to get out of Virginia. So it's going to be good. We know good things are ahead.
Thank you for what you're doing. You've always put you've done a great job.
Thank you. We really appreciate it, Congressman Norman.
Okay,
Thank you so much. Take care.
For the first time ever, we're bringing you My Pillow mattresses and mattress toppers for as low as $99.98. Remember, sleep's all about temperature and pressure points. Whatever sleep needs you have, we have the right technology for you. Like our My Pillow mattress topper, our queen size has over 10,000 individual comfort supports to help relieve your pressure points. And how about our 3-inch Hybrid Plus mattress topper? It's infused with copper and silver to help your body get the restorative sleep it needs. And our My Pillow and Case Coil mattresses, I personally helped develop these mattresses to make sure they have everything needed to give us great sleep. Plus, they're made right here in the USA, and they ship right to your front door absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to get MyPillow mattresses and toppers for as low as $99.98 and free shipping. To celebrate our newest launch, Rev 7, I'm bringing you an amazing introductory offer, plus an exclusive overstock sale that you're not going to want to miss. Rev 7 is our premium energy drink that tastes great and gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. That's because there's no sugar and no caffeine. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7 that for a limited time you can try our 3-pack absolutely free. Or check out our Percale bed sheets. I can't believe I'm even going to say this. Every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, all sizes only $29.88, even the queens and kings. Inventory is extremely limited, so order now.
Hello, everyone. Allison Steinberg here with LindellTV. We are here on the day of the State of the Union, a very exciting day. We're joined by Congressman Self, who represents Texas's 3rd Congressional District, and a very special guest, a small business owner, Kevin Doherty. Thank you for being with us.
Hi, thank you.
Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, I do own a small coffee shop in Anna, Texas. I employ about 7 employees there, and I'm here today to talk about the beautiful bill and benefits that the no tax on tip is providing my employees.
I mean, it's such a fantastic piece of the bill that I think is often overlooked, specifically by Democrats. They love to say that this is one big ugly bill and it's just been so detrimental to Americans, but that's actually not true. Tell us how the One Beautiful bill has benefited you and your business.
My employees and myself are seeing the benefits of the no tax on overtime and no tax on tips. I've got employees that are able to provide a little bit more for their family, maybe just take their kids out to ice cream, a movie. But that, in turn, gets spent more in the economy, builds the economy that way as well. So, and whenever I'm not working as the manager or owner, I too am an hourly employee. So I benefit from it as well. I like to take the grandkids out for ice cream or better yet, coffee. If well, not the grandkids, but you know what I mean. So we all benefit.
And I know that when I was working in a coffee shop as a barista when I was 16, I would have loved not having my tips taxed. So I think it's wonderful. But getting back to Democrats and their constant smears on the One Big Beautiful bill, how do you think they can defend that? I mean, Republicans literally work to put real money back into real Americans' pockets, yet all we hear is bad news from the Democrats when they're trying to talk about affordability, how the economy is so terrible, and they think that they can trick us into believing their same failed policies are somehow going to work this time around. I mean, that's just false, right?
Absolutely. The One Big Beautiful bill, otherwise known as the Working Families Tax Cut Act, is starting to have an effect. But it takes time to turn around the Biden policies that were so bad. But we're seeing it turn around. We're seeing lower prices for gas. We're seeing mortgage rates are at a 3-year low. So we're starting to see the green shoots. We will see them explode when people start getting their IRS refunds, especially seniors with their additional deductions that they got. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, as Kevin was talking about. These are real positive movements that we're starting to see. Do we have work to do? Yeah, because when you have a 9% inflation rate under Biden, it takes a while to correct that. But we're starting to see it happen. That's why we passed the One Big Beautiful Bill so early, so that we would have time to see the impact of it prior to the elections in November.
I think that was definitely a very smart move. Well done on that. And I think that is the key point there, is that so many people are so short-sighted. They don't see the long-term goal here. They want, results immediately. But to your point, Trump inherited an absolute economic disaster from Biden, and it takes time to undo all of that. As we approach midterms here, what is the messaging, especially to the younger generation that maybe feels like nothing's happening, or, there needs to be more that's done? How do we really appeal to them?
Well, I think the key is the housing market for the young people, that and jobs. Jobs will come back as we reshore jobs. And then the housing market, I think, is a real key. Once the rates continue to go down, once we hit 5.5, I think you're going to start seeing the more mature Americans move. And once they move, the young people will have houses to come to. I'll also make a point. We imported 11 plus million people under Biden. We're 4 million housing units short in America. You do the math. Once we start repatriating large numbers of illegal immigrants, those housing units are going to become available. So it's a twofold problem. It's both the mortgage rates and the housing units that will be freed up with a repatriation of illegal aliens.
Great point. We've really got to hammer down on the illegal alien issue. As we know, millions of them were let in under the Biden regime. So we're still working hard to get them out of here and get them specifically out of our elections too, right? The Save America Act addresses that, but for some reason it's still sitting in the Senate untouched. Do you have any insight on what's going on there?
Well, I think President Trump you're going to hear it tonight in the State of the Union. Okay. And John Thune's going to be sitting directly in front of him. And I think that he's going to make a pitch that this is absolutely vital to our election integrity. When you start talking about only citizens voting and showing a photo ID, a government-issued photo ID when you vote, that is the sine qua non of election integrity. We've got to get it done. If it takes the talking filibuster, which is historic, traditional filibuster, we need to do that. We need to cause pain on the Democrat side so that we can actually get this bill across the line, get it to President Trump's desk, get it signed into law in time for the midterms to make a difference.
So critical. Time is of the essence right now. It is shocking to me that they still haven't acted on it, but hopefully they will soon with the pressure continuing. Eric, as an American citizen, I don't know how much you know about the Save America Act, but it's just simply protecting voters, American voters, right, to get illegals out of elections. It would require a proof of citizenship to register to vote and a photo ID to actually physically go vote. Somehow the Democrats have carried on with this narrative that is somehow racist. It makes it harder to vote. What are your thoughts on that as an American?
More importantly, other than that, I would just tell the young Americans, faith in the process. What President Trump and the Republican Party are doing are just common sense things. No tax on tips, no tax on overtimes, no tax on Social Security. These are just common sense things. I'm not sure how anybody can think that this is a partisan issue. I just think that faith in the process, it's going to take time, such as we're seeing on the tariffs rolling back. It just takes time. Faith in the process, faith in the Republican Party. We're going to get things done, and we've got these midterms to get through. We'll be successful.
And I will tell you, when you do this, it restores faith in the election process. We see numbers go up when people know that their vote counts. Because if they don't think their vote is going to count, why vote? This restores confidence in the whole election process.
A little more reason to get it done ahead of the midterms, right? Congressman, I know you've been pivotal in making sure that America is Sharia-free. As we see this influx of Muslims, the rampant fraud in places like Minnesota with large Muslim populations, New York City's now trying to, I don't know if this is true, but Randy Fine says they're trying to go after our dogs now.
Well, yeah, they consider dogs haram,
They do,
forbidden under Sharia. So listen, dogs are important to Americans. We love our pets. So this is only the marquee event, though, because Sharia changes our culture. Sharia is a totally alternative political and legal system. It replaces the U.S. Constitution. And there are elements that do not comport with our laws. We are approaching this Sharia-Free America Caucus, now 42 members across 20 states. We're approaching it from the legal standpoint. You can't kill your daughter if you think she's dishonored the family. You can't marry your daughter at 6 or 9 years old. That's abuse. That's not marriage. You can't forbid dogs to be walked on the public sidewalk. These are things you can't stop traffic in the middle of the street to pray because it is against the law here, and that's the way we're approaching it.
This is critical, and it's sad that we even have to, try to tackle this, but it really is becoming a rapidly growing issue, especially in Texas, where you're from, right?
Oh, I'm at ground zero. Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about what's
50 mosques in the last two years. Trying to build compounds. They're talking about a compound in Kaufman County. The Meadow in my district, they talked about Blue Ridge. They talked about Aubrey. These are all supposed to be Muslim-only compounds. So this is a real issue, and Americans need to understand how serious this is. They go to accommodation first. We just want to be able to do whatever. But then once they reach a tipping point, it becomes intimidation. You will not walk your dog on the public sidewalk, or you will allow us to block traffic for prayers, or whatever. That's intimidation. I encourage Americans, do not be intimidated, because our system, our legal system, our faith system is based on the individual, your individual rights. Theirs is totally about submission. In fact, Islam means submission, and Sharia means the path. So it's all about submission of the individual to Islam, to Sharia.
It really is frightening to think about what our country looks like if that takes over. And it seems like there is ongoing continual pressure from that community for us to really assimilate to them, right? They don't want to come to America and assimilate with American culture. They want us to adapt to everything that they do. And that's just...
Yeah, they have no plans to assimilate. They just want to reach a tipping point where they have control. They're taking control of school boards and city councils, working their way up. But we also know that Saudi money and Qatar money is paying for a lot of this. So we need to make sure that we're not allowing these Middle Eastern oil rich countries to change our culture. Yes, we want to be friends with them, but we do not want to allow them to change our culture. Our culture is so vitally important to the world. Because this is where we get the idea of freedom, of individual rights. America is now the bastion of freedom around the world.
Does it concern you at all that there is a sitting member of Congress who is actively fighting, or the very thing you're fighting against, to continue to bring that here to America? I'm talking about Ilhan Omar. She, is really spitting in the face, I think, of all Americans, likely complicit in a lot of the fraud we're seeing in Minnesota, very questionable financials that have been disclosed on her financial records. I mean, what does it say when there's a sitting member of Congress who doesn't align with what we're doing here in America?
Well, we need to make sure that we enforce assimilation. We want people to assimilate. But if they're not going to, there is such a thing as a denaturalization process for naturalized citizens. And so if there has been fraud in citizenship, getting your citizenship, that is a denaturalization element. So we need to be very careful that just because you are here, certainly if you're on a visa, regardless of what kind of visa, or if you're a naturalized citizen and you start committing and you used fraud to get that citizenship, you can be denaturalized. We need to understand the tools that we have to protect our culture.
Yeah. So do you think we're going to make any traction with Ilhan Omar and let's say even Mamdani in New York? I mean, there was kind of calls to do the denaturalization process on both of these two individuals. What can we do to expedite this?
Well, it's going to take the Department of Justice to be serious about it. And that's what we need. We need the Department of Justice to be willing to do what is necessary to protect our culture. This is a 5-alarm fire in North Texas. And New York is simply the wake-up call because we see him destroying New York City at lightning speed. We need to take a lesson from that, because if this spreads further, we'll see the same lightning speed in other areas of the country. Now, I realize that I have colleagues that are not concerned about it because it's not impacting them now. But I say if it's not in your district now, stand by, because unless we stop it, it will come.
Very well said, and we appreciate you raising awareness on the issue and speaking out about it. So thank you so much for that. Kevin, thank you so much for being with us today. Can you please let people know where they can find your coffee shop?
I just want to say, as tough as all of these subjects are and as divisive as they are, at Country Charm Coffee in Anna, Texas, we try very hard to welcome everyone. It doesn't matter what party you're in, doesn't matter what race, religion, or creed you are. When I built that coffee shop, you'll see that we welcome everyone, and we do it lovingly and openly, and that's the truth. We just love to share over a cup of coffee and a homemade cookie, and that's what America needs more of: sharing, getting along, and not necessarily fighting. Why do we need to fight? Let's have some good coffee.
I love it. That's what America's all about. Well, thank you so much for doing your part, and Congressman Self, thanks so much for all you do. We appreciate it.
With everybody talking about making America healthy again, I thought today'd be a great day to talk to all my fellow patriots about the importance of making your homes healthy again. Well, we have proudly partnered with airwaterhealing.com and their revolutionary whole home air purification system. The V3 from Air Water Healing does 3,000 square feet of purification. It eliminates dust, mold, viruses, and odors. But here's the part I love. They require no filters to ever be changed and virtually no maintenance. Whether you suffer from asthma, allergies, seasonal bronchitis, or just want to protect your family from the flu or even greater threats, don't wait to get your V3 from airwaterhealing.com today. Use code Lindell for 20% off in savings and free shipping. That's promo code Lindell at airwaterhealing.com.
America's founders warned that without knowledge and virtue, no nation can remain free. Yet through the steady infiltration of Marxist ideology, we have been stripped of both, and we are no longer a moral and educated people. To save America, we must spark nothing less than a national renaissance. That's why you need Freedom Talk Magazine, the journal of truth and virtue. We cultivate enlightened thinking and principled living, offering unique insights into the issues and remarkable people defining our world. Sign up today for your free subscription to Freedom Talk Magazine and join the new American Renaissance.
It's finally here, our second annual mega sale. This sale only comes around once a year, so take advantage of the best offers ever while you can. For example, save 50% on our Giza Dream bed sheets, as low as $29.98. And for the first time ever on TV, MyPillow mattresses and MyPillow mattress toppers, as low as $99.98. And you save 50% on our Lux Pure 6-piece towel sets, regular $69.98. Now only $39.98. And our best-selling standard My Pillows, regular $49.98, on sale for $17.98. Wait on it, mega sale only $14.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. But wait, there's more. To make the mega sale even more special, when you order right now, your order's going to ship absolutely free.
Hello, everyone. Allison Steinberg here with LindellTV. It is the State of the Union, very exciting day. Big speech from the president up ahead later tonight. But for now, we're joined by Congressman Eric Burlison, who represents Missouri's 7th Congressional District. Congressman, thanks so much for being with us today. It's great to have you.
Great to be with you, Allison.
Well, I know you've been working really hard on securing our elections. There was a roundtable a couple weeks ago with the Republican Study Committee, of which you're a part of, and you spoke about the importance of getting the Save America Act passed. The House did its job getting that done, but unfortunately it's just sitting dead in the Senate with no action, no conversation about it being brought to the floor for a debate. Why do you think that is? What's going on over there?
I think you have a culture in the Senate of laziness. I'm just going to be blunt. I was a state senator in Missouri before I came up here. And in Missouri, if you're going to filibuster, you actually have to go to the floor and talk. And it's painful. It's painful for both the person filibustering and for the majority that's trying to, wait out that filibuster. And but it is a good process because it forces people that want to get this thing done and over with. It forces them to have a conversation. And sometimes that conversation can be making a tweak or a change within the bill itself, or it can be, we have a series of bills, we want these passed, we'll give you on this one. But at the end of the day, at least they're accomplishing something. Right now, you have a bunch of octogenarians who are one step away from a nursing home. I mean, let's be honest. And they don't want to lift a finger to do their job. And that's what's really driving the factor for this. Even the ones that are in the majority, they don't want to have to sit and have to attend a quorum call from people that might be filibustering. Tough. You took this job because the country needs you. It's now time to step up for your country.
Absolutely. And it's so frustrating, so infuriating that we have this critical piece of legislation that could literally secure our elections, especially ahead of this critical time, midterms, and nothing's being done. You say it's because of laziness, which I agree with you. The last Thune was asked about it. I mean, he basically said that it was just, opening the floor up to debate was going to eat up too much time. But what could be more critical than getting this passed, and shouldn't it eat up time? I mean...
Right. Well, we do a bunch of stupid bills up here. We spend our time coming up here to do bills that don't really amount to a whole lot, that don't impact the American people. We clearly have a problem in our election system. The American people want us to do this. This is an 80-20 issue. Even Democrats support voter ID and making sure that illegals are not voting. What more important thing can we be doing? This is the most important thing that we should be doing.
It's absolutely critical. And I think so much of the voter base, so much of the Republican voter base, the MAGA base is just a little frustrated, quite frankly, a little burnt out because they feel like nothing's being done. What should the messaging be ahead of midterms for, the MAGA base that feels like not enough is happening in this critical time where we have all three branches of government, yet it somehow still seems like Democrats are running the show?
Yeah, I mean, that was why I ran for Congress. I would sit at home, and the people that I wrote checks to, the Republicans that you get elected, I was disappointed in the results. When we didn't repeal Obamacare, I was angry, right? When they didn't reform or privatize Social Security with George W. Bush, I was frustrated. But now I'm up here, and it's extremely frustrating to not have any control. So I'm not holding back. I'm calling out the Senate for their attitude and their lack of doing something, and I hope the American people do as well. So these senators need to hear it from their base, from their constituents. People need to be calling and demanding that they actually do a talking filibuster.
Got to happen. If we just actually implemented the existing rules, we didn't even need to nuke the filibuster like we've been hearing so much about. Just enforce the existing rules. It's so simple.
It is. Do your job.
Yes, thank you. Do your job. That's that. Let's talk about out of control spending, because this is just an astronomical issue that doesn't seem to be getting better. I mean, we're nearly $40 trillion in debt and counting every second of every day. And Republicans used to be the party of fiscal conservatism, but that doesn't really seem to be the case anymore. What's going on?
Well, typically when we get in charge, we like to cut taxes, but then have a hard time cutting spending. And then when the Democrats get in charge, they increase spending and do nothing with taxes. So that's what's caused us to be in this, debt spiral, really. Now this year, that's why you saw myself and a handful of fiscal conservative budget hawks stand in the way of the one big beautiful bill until we did enough spending reductions. And this town said it couldn't happen, that it wouldn't be possible. This town, all the lobbyists, all of the staffers, the people that have been up here on Capitol Hill, that have been part of the swamp and have taken the black pill, they said there is no way you're going to reform Medicaid. There's no way you're going to eliminate the Green New Deal programs. But we did. And we saved the taxpayers almost $2 trillion that we saved the taxpayers. When we fought on that one big beautiful bill, we fought to make sure that we were not going to extend the enhanced Obamacare, subsidies, the COVID era subsidies. And we were successful in that. So that in and of itself was another $400 billion. So things have changed, but it's only because you have a small group, mainly Freedom Caucus, myself included in that are willing to actually be a fly in the ointment and tell leadership and tell this town, no, we're going to stand in your way until you make spending reductions. And hopefully we get another chance at that, because I'm hopeful that we have Reconciliation 2.0 so that we can actually go a step further.
Yeah, we absolutely need to. I think the American people are counting on it. It's sad to me that there's not more members of Congress that, are trying to push back and actually make a difference. It's just like, they come here and just do what they do. I don't know if they do much of anything, but it's very underwhelming.
It's not popular. I mean, right? Like, if you're standing in the way, you're not invited to the cool parties. You don't raise as much money. I mean, the lobbyists don't line up to meet with you. And so, sadly, that's a lot of people get up here, and the next thing they want is to climb the ladder and be a chairman or be in leadership. And to do that, they have to get cozy with K Street and with the lobbyist class. And I didn't come up here for that. I came up here because the country needs saving, and there's a small group of us that are willing to make that fight to save the country.
We truly appreciate your fight in this ongoing battle. Talk to us more about Reconciliation 2.0 for those that don't know. What does that really seek to tackle?
Yeah, so the goal in that, I think we need to address Obamacare. So it is a proven disaster. Even Democrats admit it now that if we have to throw more money at it, that we have to save this failing system. When you poll the American people, they say by 80% of the American people, including Democrats, say that throwing more money at the Obamacare system isn't going to fix it, which is remarkable. The other thing, 80% of the population wants more free market-like reform, which is also remarkable, okay? And yet Republicans are hesitant to take action on that. Like, what I hope that we are able to do, and I hope tonight we hear from the president, a call to action to do Reconciliation 2 and to reform healthcare. Give the money to the people and let them pick their own health insurance plans. If you let people shop for their own health insurance, you will totally reform the healthcare system. Suddenly, all the things people hate about healthcare, whether it's the having to go through the Rube Goldberg process of your insurance company, having to have not knowing what the prices are at the clinic or at the hospital, being told which doctors are in your network or which drugs are in your covered, which hospital you can go to. All of those things that people have complaints about will totally go away. When you're the one making the decision, they're going to start treating you like a customer because they know that they may lose your business. And so they're going to show their prices. They're going to be nice to you. They're going to make the process simple. And you know what? When you show up, you may not have to wait in the waiting room that long anymore, right?
That'd be nice.
It would be nice. Let's return healthcare to a free market system.
Yeah, I certainly think that's a great start. We've heard President Trump talking a lot about that, these Trump health savings plans, right? But it doesn't seem like anything's actually been put forth solidly from Congress to actually make this the law of the land. Is this included in the Reconciliation 2.0? Is there actual legislation?
I have legislation that does a comprehensive reform that includes everything the president is asking for. And so we have that. Now, my legislation, we call it the MAHA Act, but frankly, the president can call it whatever he wants to call it. He's the marketer in chief. He's the promoter in chief. So call it whatever he wants. At the end of the day, the core engine is take health savings accounts and put them on steroids and let the American people pay for their insurance premiums out of that. Let them be healthy. So why not let people with their health savings accounts pay for a fitness membership, right? Or a dietitian, right? Like a personal health coach. Be able to pay for healthy, unprocessed protein and produce. So imagine being able to go to the grocery store with your new Trump health, healthy food or savings account, and being able to buy, the the steak with pre-tax dollars. How awesome would that be?
Speaking my language, this is amazing, and the whole world needs to know about this. I'm so glad I happened to ask you about this. I didn't know you had this legislation, so thank you for doing that. Now, I guess the next step is how do we get everyone rallying behind this? Because very concerningly, we have a large handful of so-called Republicans that are trying to push for this Obamacare extension, the COVID era subsidies. What is going on with that? I mean, how could anyone back that when we know what a failure Obamacare has been? How could they even begin to consider that as a realistic option?
You know, sadly, that's the easy path because this town will follow what the lobbyists want, and insurance lobbyists want us to just throw more money at insurance. But I do think, and I've talked to, what's ironic about this topic is that the moderates in our conference and the hardcore conservatives like myself that we all agree that we need to pass some kind of healthcare reform. What's interesting is the pushback that we're getting is really from like our chairman class, like, you know, basically those I would say the speakers on board with it, but yet a lot of the people that have been here for a long time and are cozy with the lobbyists, they're the ones that don't want to do anything on healthcare reform. And
Shocker.
So the president wants to do it. I think tonight you're going to hear that in his speech. You have the conservatives and the people in the purple districts that want to do it. It's the people that have been here around the swamp for too long that are fighting us. And hopefully we can build the momentum to force them to do it.
Seems like the swamp creatures ruin everything, but we got to break that tradition here and really get some headway on this. I think this is so important. And again, thank you for doing it. I think you really need to get on the podcast Culture Apothecary with Alex Clark to talk about your healthcare bill. Okay. Because she's doing a lot of great work talking about the MAHA agenda. I think this fits in perfectly and would help really get some traction behind it. So we're going to pitch that to Alex Clark.
Yeah, that idea, that healthy food idea came from meetings that I had with Bobby Kennedy's team. Okay. Because they truly think that, like, in America, we're unhealthy compared to other cultures, and it's our food. And so we spend very little money and very little attention to eating healthy, but we pay for it on the back end when with health care and health insurance. So let's reverse that. Let's get the American people healthy again.
I love it. Last question for you. I know there's a lot going on here today, but I have to ask you, because we are talking about making America healthy again, this glyphosate executive order that President Trump just signed. Are you familiar with it at all? I don't want to put you on the spot, but basically it gives glyphosate manufacturers liability, shielded liability. Right. They don't have to be held accountable if someone were to, let's say, get cancer as a result of being exposed to their product. You know,
I'm not sure how that impacts the existing settlement, because I know that Bayer, which purchased Monsanto, which has glyphosate, they just entered into a settlement fund agreement, and I think that process is correcting itself through the normal, common law legal system. So I don't necessarily think that it's necessary, but I will say our farmers need some kind of protection. Our farmers need to be able to do what they need to do to make a living and to be productive on their land. But that being said, let it play out. There's a lot of different ways of farming where you don't have to use glyphosate, where they can do no-till drill. They can do other things. I think robotics is going to be a game changer. AI and robotics. I mean, if you imagine a future where a robot is going through a large, several thousand acre fields. You just have robots go through and individually kill any kind of weeds, right? But it can happen.
Yeah, we're not far off from that. So hopefully they don't take all of our jobs, though. I don't want that.
Well, I'm not afraid of that. I think what's remarkable, if you think about it, your great grandparents and my great grandparents were all farmers. Everybody had to work, and so they weren't able to be a newscaster or a podcaster. They weren't able to be, what I do. I was a software engineer and a financial advisor. That really didn't exist for many people back in the day. So I think that people shouldn't be afraid of AI or robotics. What people need to be encouraged is that it's going to create entirely new professions and careers that we've never even dreamed of.
Certainly an interesting road ahead, and we are here for it. So, Congressman, thank you so much. We covered a lot of ground today. I really appreciate all that you're doing, and thanks for joining us.